Welcome, Danny, to Nine Candles. These are the nine candles. And
Thank you.
Danny is doing day 0 of the nine candles. Because what we're going to discuss is how the nine candles happens, why do we need it? And these are the nine candles. And every time I do this, I put a stone in the middle, and I put the chrysanthemum stone in the middle this time because all my candles are going to be flowers.
Nice.
And
So I'm a zero, is what you're saying. That
you're not a 0. You're just at that point
am
before.
I a fool? Like in
No,
the tarot?
you just have the most information to give us about this because you can talk about anything you want.
Because maybe it's just that it's zero because I'm starting on a new journey, as we all
Right.
are.
With the candles, and we're starting with becoming. We've
When
sailed
yeah.
we've sailed across the South Seas on our big canoes. We've come
Mhm.
from outer space, riding the waves. I mean, all the different candles have had us moving in different directions. And this time it's saying you don't need to move anymore. You just need to be. And where did becoming come from? And Danny sort of suggested maybe I should read this poem that triggered this off in me. And it's a poem by John Roedel, and he writes wonderful poems. And it starts off, me, hey God. God,
What?
hello, yeah.
Oh,
Me, I'm falling apart. Can you put me back together? God, I would rather not. Me, why? God, because you aren't a puzzle. Me, what about all the pieces of my life that keep falling down around me on the ground? God, just let them stay there for a while. And they fell off for a reason. Take some time. Decide if you need any more of those pieces back. Me, you don't understand. I'm breaking down. God, no, you don't understand. You're breaking through. What you're feeling are growing pains. You are shedding the things and the people in your life that are holding you back. You aren't falling apart. You're falling into place. Relax. Take a deep breath. Allow those things that you don't need anymore to fall off of you, and quit holding on to the pieces that don't fit you anymore. You have to let them go. Me, once I start doing that, what will be left of me? God, the very best pieces of you. Me, I'm scared of changing. God, I keep telling you, you aren't changing. You're becoming. Becoming who? God, becoming who I created you to be, a person of light and love and charity and hope and courage and joy and mercy and grace and compassion. I made you for more than shallow pieces that you've decided to adorn yourself with and that you cling to from greed and fear. Let those things fall off of you. I love you. Don't change. Become. Become the one I made you to be. I'm going to keep telling you that until you remember it. Me, there goes another piece. God, yep, let it be. Me, so I'm not broken? God, of course not. But you're breaking down so that you can become. And that's what becoming's about.
oh my gosh. I want Nancy Jean story hour.
Some
So I think people are going to have to listen to that twice because the way you did it was so fun. Um, but yeah,
I'll attach it in the notes below. So when you
yeah,
see the show, you can go find it.
yeah. That's probably a good idea because I'm laughing at the way you did that. It was so funny. And and I think that when we take ourselves so seriously with holding
Mm-hmm.
on to things so tightly, that
Mm-hmm.
it does become funny. It's like, why are we holding on to things so tight? Yeah.
I I had a therapist who said when he finally did deep work with people and they found out what they really needed to let go of, they found claw marks all over it. Hold on for dear life. Even if it's killing them, I'm gonna prove it's not gonna kill me.
Yeah. And there's so many people today that are, and I'm sure I'm sure this time is not special in this regard, but we are just hanging on and clinging. A lot of the people that I'm reading are like, how do I let go of some of this stuff? Where,
Right.
I'm trying to hold on to the past. We see it in our political landscape
Mm-hmm.
of these people just holding on. And once they just let the pieces drop,
Mm-hmm.
um, once they listen to God and say,
Mm-hmm.
it's okay, let him drop, and let him be, just let it lie there and figure
Mm-hmm.
out where, you don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
Just breathe into that space of, oh, I don't have that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Find out what you do have, and it's probably better than what you thought you had.
Oh yeah. Well, anybody who's been through a divorce, and I've been through one, and I've held hands with friends that went through it. And eventually, when you get past all of the grieving stages about having to let something go, you
Right.
stand there and you go, why did I hang out there for so long? What was I holding on to? Especially the more distance you get. I used to have a cartoon, it was on my refrigerator between marriages. And it was this couple was sitting in a candlelit dining room, and the woman was looking at this guy, and she goes, George, when I first met you, I really thought your eyes were too close together. And then I got to know you, and everything on your face was just perfect until tonight. Your eyes are getting close together. And when I got engaged, I took that down because I didn't think Bill would appreciate it. Um, but
Were
it's
his
true.
eyes
No,
far
his
apart?
eyes, his eyes were bright blue, incredible
Okay.
blue, that kind of blue you can only find in England and Northern Europe, that electric blue.
Yeah, and in Aliens.
Yeah, but I haven't met any of them, and I didn't marry any of them that I know of. I mean, Bill was an
Yeah.
alien because he was born in another country, but he was not that kind
Oh, wrong kind of alien.
of
Okay.
wrong kind of alien. So,
Yeah.
so about becoming, um, it is a whole energetic thing. It and
Yeah.
it's going to be, if you follow my shows, you're going to find me talking more and more about real, and it's not just energy like someone sat in a corner and meditated. And I don't care whether you meditate and see it or whether you're a scientist with a thing that can measure it. But we have found so many ways since about 2015 to measure energy that we never knew was there before, and a lot of energy from outer space that now it's probably been hitting us for gazillion years, and there is
Hmm.
some they can prove has, but there's a lot that we didn't know about. And we did know about the coronal emissions, the things the sun sends out, the
Yeah.
sunspot things, when those blow up. Do you know why
Yeah.
the sun's blowing up right now?
What, the sun is blowing up?
Yeah, I mean, why it's sending out all these coronal emissions?
No.
Because every 11 years the sun shifts its north pole and its south
Oh,
pole, and it actually shifts through the sun and it screws all the energy up. So there's another
okay.
becoming that's a pain.
Another because, and they say that the earth is shifting poles too.
Oh yeah.
And there are who was it Nostradamus or Edgar Casey said that the earth's poles were gonna flip, and we do shift, and the earth shifts. If you look at a
Mm-hmm.
chart, a marine chart,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the only kind of chart you could, well, never mind. But they'll have on the compass rose, they'll have a deviation
Mm-hmm.
and a variation that you have to recalculate the lines on the chart according to the time, because the poles shift.
Mm-hmm.
So, the earth is spinning. So a lot of times it's really gradual.
Mhm.
With the sun, it seems like it's a little more rapid. And some people say the earth, it's gonna like whoop and flip real quick.
We're not gonna flip like that. What was south is gonna, we're not gonna turn over. I'm not gonna be living in Australia, you know, on the globe.
I might.
Well, I think
Okay.
it'd be a lovely place to visit, but yeah,
Yeah.
you might really fall off and go drift across the ocean. But there's
But
a
you
lot.
know, but even the shift,
Mhm.
as you know, whether we think that it's going to be fast or slow, whether it happens physically fast or slow,
Right.
um, how we perceive it is a whole different aspect. Some
Mhm.
people will think it's happening really fast, these becomings, this change in us. I mean, I, I think that I'm changing so quickly. My diet has
Mhm.
changed this past 12 months.
Mhm.
It radically changed. Um, you know, and just looking back on the year, what else has changed about me? Just my whole perception and what I'm um, becoming aware of
Mhm.
in my world, in my perceptions, in my third eye, what I'm seeing, you know,
Mhm.
which nobody else can see. And it's like, oh, I want to bring you all along. Let me show you what I'm looking at. And
Mhm.
so that's going to be so it's exciting, and you can't rush any of that, which is why I love that poem so much. It just kind of has to drop off, and even though I want to put it back in there because I think I need it
Mhm.
at the time, because it's like, oh dang, I just dropped an arm
Mhm.
or something, you know, and I need that, don't I? No, not really. Just let it be. So there's that time of just letting it sit and marinate and figure out just where you're going. I think that's really powerful.
Mhm.
So I pulled two cards just to before we started with this. And you know, these cards, they don't lie. I
Yeah.
don't know. I heard a saying on that sometime. And the card that I got is transformation.
Right.
We are shifting gears. We are transforming, and we're going, well, what are we transforming into? Well, we're not quite sure. Some people have an idea. I think we're going to be surprised. And this is Get Grounded, the second card, which reminds me of what God said. It's just leave it on the ground, leave it
Mhm.
there. Don't try to pick it up, just
Mhm.
leave. Sit. For me, it's sitting on the ground, connecting to the core of Mother Earth, who Mother Earth is. Let that information come back into you and enjoy the ride.
Right.
Yeah. Because
Because
we can get all worried about what we're leaving behind, where we're going, what the change is, and we forget the now. We forget, make sure that you're enjoying right now.
mhm. Right. And
Yeah.
feel the vibrations that are around you.
Yeah.
Even the ones that are new and may feel uncomfortable just because they're new, if for no other reason.
Right.
And we all went through that.
Mm-hmm. We're going through it now. Oh, this is
Yeah.
a new thing that
Mhm.
seems old. Yeah. Yeah.
So you and I did a show together on 8/8 Lionsgate 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we had both gotten the same message that we were all of us were on one path for a while, but a cleave was coming, a break in the road.
Yeah.
And we both had the same image of the fork, that it had to, you chose a side. You chose the direction you went in. And even if you may have had friends on the other road, there's going to come a point where you can't reach across to try and get them. That it's really a matter of each person's conscience, what they see and how they feel, and
Yeah.
what's going on around them. And that was 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
Was 3. And and then we followed that up with the good vibrations
Mm-hmm.
video we did on that. I got demonetized because they said I stole a visual from a Harvard lab, and when I contacted the Harvard lab, they said no, you're supposed to be able to use that. But vibrations and elements, and truly, that I was telling Danny earlier, I read a small paragraph from a woman physicist who said, if you really want to understand quantum physics, and I just said the magic word, all the people are going to click off and go, if this is a lecture about physics, but quantum physics is a little bit different. But it's basically, it believes that a vibration that starts from my voice, a vibration that I send out, can instantaneously be in a star on the farthest end of the universe. God knows why it would want to go there, but it can. And it said that's quantum physics, and that should make you understand that this idea that I think I'm a Nancy sitting in Dallas with power, yay, and there's a star at the other edge of the universe, and we're that separated, but we're not. That's the illusion that
Yeah.
our energies have to learn to live with, is nothing is separate from anything else.
Right. Right. And so bringing that down to our earthly time, and I talk about this a lot, is that if we want to affect change in Ukraine, in the Israel-Palestinian conflict, in Africa, in any place in the world, I mean, in the US, there's so much hunger and insecurities going on throughout the world. If we want to change any of that, well, then all we have to do is put out the right message and say, we're changing this. This is changing. This is shifting. We're dropping that insecurity and bringing in abundance, and let that just be.
That's
And
what we're becoming.
right, right. And there are people, they're going to be holding on to this too tight, but yet we are going to, as we keep becoming and shifting and growing and walking on our path, I guess I should say, dropping things behind us that no longer serve us, we are going to affect this change. And not everybody's going to be on board. And you can't worry about that.
No, and one of the things when I was pulling together the 9 candles, and I've got people from all sorts of disciplines. There's whatever Danny and I do. We're still working on it. But I have people who have formal training in certain sort of disciplines, and astrology, and people who do meditate deeply and come up with different ideas, and all of those people are going to be speaking their truth about how they've seen and what they see in this time of becoming. And they're going to have, I'm sort of asking them to read the poems, read the meditation, and then figure out what they can say about to help people get new thoughts. And a lot of them won't be new thoughts. You'll say, oh, I thought that, but I was sitting here in Idaho and I didn't know anybody else was thinking that,
Right. Right. And the thing, one of the things you just said about, these people who have these disciplines, and when I heard that, I go, oh, they have certificates of completion or achievement
Mhm.
or PhDs behind them. And one of the things that I did in my early becoming, I said to myself that I am not going to make a conscious decision, not going to reach or strive for any certificates of completion of, I'm just not going that route. I
Mhm.
don't want another degree. I don't want another card that says I've hit this milestone or another designation, because with this energy, I don't know if I actually knew what I was thinking or saying at that time. But I think with this energy experience that we're in, that it doesn't take any kind of doctorate or anything. We can absorb this knowledge. Well, we have it. We just need to unlayer it and let some casings drop to the ground
Right.
so that it can come out and flourish. And I'm not saying that you don't need classes and or uh, things of that nature, because I think we do, and the reason that we do is to confirm what we already know. And we'll go, like the person sitting in Idaho, she goes, or he goes, yeah, I had that thought, but I didn't think anybody else in Idaho was thinking this thought. Well, yeah, we are.
We are. And there can be some structure put around how things are done. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
when I teach people how to read the tarot, I start with numerology, which is a really fun, I find very fascinating metaphysical
Sure.
science. And and when you really start studying the cards and the numbers and astrology and all this stuff, they all really are blending together. Some of
Right.
them just have a few more rules for how you get from here to there. And
Yeah.
I think knowing the rules of the road's not necessarily a bad thing. But then again, you may come up with something that nobody else has thought of before, and that's
Right.
perfectly fine. I find I like to read a lot of different people. I try to introduce Danny to some of them, even though when I send him things, he rolls his eyes now because a couple people I sent him were a tad bit boring. But
Never, never, no, no, I would never roll my eyes.
yeah, you
Never.
did. You did. But it's okay because I learned a lot from that person and
Yeah, so did
and
I. So did
then,
I.
yeah, I
He's
mean,
fascinating. He's fascinating. He's got a lot of information.
we should
So
tell people his name because they're all going to be going, who the hell are they talking about? Rory Duff.
very tough.
Mhm. He's a geobiologist.
He's a guy that likes to sit on a long leather couch and
That
not move.
that specific couch is called a Chesterfield. It is a
Uh,
specific kind of couch.
so um yeah, and getting back to the structure of of the tarot, as you call it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a hillbilly. I call it tarot. No, I
Don't call it Tarot. That's
don't. Tarot. Um, and thinking back, that was the only certificate, I think, and maybe there's more,
mm-hmm.
that I actually did get, because I think it's really important if you're going to use a tool to figure out the basic method of how to use that
Mm-hmm.
tool. There's numbers on there. There's minor, major arcanas. There's court cards. What does
There's
all that
symbols.
mean?
There's universal symbols.
Correct. And then there's the symbols, the intuitive symbols that we get.
Mm-hmm.
And the more that we pull different, if you're just looking at the Rider Waite deck, then that's something that is universal to the Rider Waite. But then you pull out something like the True Black and you look at that and you go, what the hell is that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's the King of Pentacles. It doesn't look like the King of Pentacles, and they all have portals
Mm-hmm.
that they're going into. So it's all symbology, and you can read what the book says, or you can use your own intuitive message, which
Right.
opens up a whole nother portal. So I'm all for learning the Rider Waite, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm also all for pulling out the Wild Unknown Tarot, and you go, what the hell? That's the one big spider web that they're showing me.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's because we're all on a spider web, all on different strings, and all we're trying to figure out what goes to the middle.
yeah,
And
or goes out to the far reaches of
oh,
the outer side of
mm-hmm.
the spider web.
That's right.
Yeah,
And you can look at it, and you can review things, and you can sort of study stuff, but at the end of the day, I think each of us needs to realize we're on our own journey, and your journey's every bit as valid as people who've hung out a shingle and say, I do this.
yeah,
I think everybody's psychic. I mean, I've just felt that for a long time. And, it's just whether they want to turn it. And for some people, it's a scary thing to do. Some people were
yeah,
raised in very scary spaces. So the idea of crawling around in someone else's head
yeah, right,
is not a
right.
pleasant thought. And you're not crawling around in their head, you're crawling around in their heart. And that's even worse. So that's the largest energy source in your body is your heart.
Yeah, I would rather crawl around in their heart than their head, because their head's got, it's full of cobwebs and false information, but
And
their
very
heart
limited. Right. Their heart
is,
has places to grow.
yeah, yeah. So, and and it's everybody's perception
Mm-hmm.
of how they label that, what label they put on the heart or the head or whatever. So, which is, I'm not, if we, as soon as we can start speaking telepathically from our heart, oh my gosh, it's going to be so great.
Mm-hmm.
But now we have to use clunky labels like words and letters and sounds, and it's all up for miscommunication.
Mm-hmm.
So when we drop that and just become intelligent source
Mm-hmm.
thought, and that's where we're going.
Yeah. And it's part of the energetic changes we're going through, part of the energy that's coming in
Yeah,
from out in the hinterlands and the far end, the two black holes that are circling each other and sending this giant wave that they finally figured out, oh, that's where that wave, and it's a big wave. It's from one peak to the other is a long way, but
yeah, yeah. And you were talking also about a nova that is going to be visible.
right. Between now and September, somewhere
Yeah,
in the constellation of Taurus, and you can Google nova that's coming. And what it is it's a twin star that's up in that part of the galaxy. And the big star is the small star is close enough to the big star that periodically it builds up so much energy that it just blows, and you'll be able to see it in the daylight.
yeah,
It was 86 years ago that it blew off before.
yeah. So how is that? I mean, so we have these energy things from out in space,
Mm-hmm.
and then in the sun, and we have no control over that, unless we use our mind and maybe change it, which, if we become better adept at that, maybe we can. However, right now we're being bombarded by this energy coming from space
Mm-hmm.
that seemingly we have no control over, but still affecting us and changing our DNA
Mm-hmm.
on a cellular level.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, buckle up. There's really no stopping the path of becoming.
Well, we've chosen to live our lives on the planet Earth in the period of time when we've circled, when our being part of the galaxy we're in, our whole solar system has circled away from a protective cloud that blocked a lot of heavy photonic energy. And
Mhm.
apparently we go through this every 13,000 years. Now, I find the way that they found out we do it every 13,000 years was absolutely fascinating, because these bombardments of these energies, and we're just at it started in 2017, and this is some of the stuff I'm going to be talking about dealing with energy, but we're now clearly away from there. So if there's a photon heading towards Earth, and it can get past our magnetic shield, and what they're doing is, when they pass through they just pass right through Earth. So they pass right through us, and they pass through the core of the Earth. And there's a feeling among people who've seen what could be coming, is that there will come a day when the energy in there will build up enough and it will just ring like a bell. And that's what getting all the ley lines straight's about. And the ley lines are getting thicker, they're getting wider. And after this December's solstice, the one in, because this round of 9 candles is going to end up at the day before the June solstice.
Mm,
If you can go out and find yourself a ley line tree, or find a ley line, or find a portal, or find a sacred place, or and you'll just feel them. You don't,
yeah.
they don't give you a lot of signs and symbols, but they're there, and they're getting stabilized. And I started following the ley line that's in front of my house 3 years ago, and I can go out and douse it, and it's getting wider and wider. And I thought, well, I knew they can get wider but we always thought they got thinner. They're not getting thinner. They're just getting wider. So they're creating a network of energetic tracks around the world. And I work with elementals, which is dragons and fairies and all the fairy tales you ever heard about. And they're creatures from our planet, and they're lots of fun to play with. But they, this is the year that in ancient Chinese tradition, they said was the year that the dragons would fly off the walls. Now I want to be in China when it happens. I got a lot of dragons and a lot of walls. But they tell me that they are and they talk to me, so they tell me this stuff.
Yeah.
But they are all part of this 13,000 year cycle that we are just beginning to enter. So all of us chose to enter it. And we chose to enter it as creatures that didn't know this was here. And now science, and of course, because I know I can remember when I was first reading cards and people say, how do you think it works? What do you think? I really didn't give a damn. As long as they could pick them up and they worked, I really didn't care. But I do think it's interesting to see when universal changes of energy uh, are coming, because it is really, how many people do you think 5 or 6 years ago that you knew that you could just walk up to and start talking about the real energy shifts on the planet?
Oh, well, the first thing that came to my mind, and it was going to be a joke, was six. And before you even ask the question, you go, "How many people?" I always go six. But then when I think about it, I'll be lucky if there were six people that I can talk to. But
Mm-hmm.
probably six.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I was born into this, and I came in a little more sensitive in some ways and a little more open. And so I studied astrology in my 30s, in the 1970s and stuff. And I had started just reading cards when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I've been invited to go to a little girl's 10th birthday party and teach some girls how to read cards.
Oh, there you go. How cool is that?
Well, it's one of them's my granddaughter, so
Oh,
so
well,
she
I was
can
hoping.
read cards. She can read cards. I was playing with her one time, and I said, "What card's that?" And she goes, "Oh, that's a boy that would be like Ian," and it was the Page of Pentacles, which is her brother to a T,
Oh, wow.
you know.
And it's so cool that that our grandkids are they're so powerful, and we are allowing them to explore this
Right.
without fear and put down and religious whatever limits on them. So
Mhm.
we're taking away a lot of their limitations, um,
We've put
uh, to
spirit
ex-
in, we've put spirit in place of dogma.
mm, mm, okay, yeah,
It's really where we are with it. And I was married to a minister, guys. I mean, I've been through the whole 9 yards. And he knew I read cards and he thought that was great fun. He used to buy me decks, but
no,
he wasn't against it. He just said, don't whip them out during service. Thank you. Anyway, uh this is kind of what the 9 candles is about. We're building up to a new point. We're building up
yeah,
to the becoming point, and there's a lot of different paths to get there. And because I'm here and you're there, it doesn't mean there's not a real hierarchy in this. It's wherever you get to where you can get to, you get to where you want to open yourself up to. You
yep,
get to where your guides and your angels and your life thinks you need to be.
yep. So because this is the zero video,
Mm-hmm.
um, the 9 candles, and maybe this should have been in the very beginning. The 9 candles, you light each candle with an intention.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
You light each can you can put okay,
Of
there's
becoming.
right. You can put a list of what you would like, things you have envisioned you are going to be becoming. You can also just put a list under there of things you want blessed or things you're grateful for, whatever you want. And each day is lit with the intention of us gaining information from the person I've invited to come and speak that day. That doesn't mean they won't learn from you, Danny, they will. But the reason we started doing a day zero was because people would say, oh my God, you lit those candles. And all of a sudden I was running around my house trying to find 9 candles and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And the other thing is this time all my candles are flowers and they're all different colors. Before they've been specific colors because specific colors have very specific energies and they move things in specific ways. This time it's pick your own color, pick your own flower, pick your own candle. And if you have a really tall candle and it's going to burn down, you light one candle each time we light a candle and bring the power in because, like it says in my meditation about this, we carry the light of these candles within us as a beacon of hope and transformation. We step forward into our lives to renew both faith, open hearts, and deep sense of connection that we're all part of the web of the universe. And
Yes.
that's what the candles are for. We're all
Yes.
part of something greater. And each flicker on that candle is just as important as the energy that I put out or Danny put
Mhm.
out.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So that's what we're about. And Danny's your initial tour guide.
Yeah. I'm the fool. I'm zero. I'm
That's
fool. I'm
true.
starting off the journey.
That's right. Danny's kicking
Love
it
it.
off. But he's not going to fall off a cliff. He's going to go out and enjoy the sunshine.
No, my dog's gonna like go, hey, whoa, look out for that cliff.
Mm-hmm.
So yes.
Well, thank you for coming.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for doing these. These are always so inspiring. So thank you.
Well, I get to talk to everybody, and it's lots of
Yeah.
kind of find out what's going on. And I
And
get to,
today you read story time to me.
I
I
read
love
story time
it.
to you.
Thank you.
I love John Roedel's poems. His poems are all like that. They're all real story specific, and they're all real about the spirit growing individuals. Go look up his stuff on Google. That's where I've found it. I've not found it anywhere else.
All right. Excellent.
And I will put a copy of the poem below. I'll put a copy for those of you who don't know how to find Danny. You can go find his. Are you now Danny Shay? You're not your bathrobes retired?
No, you scared me. You sent me a video of another reader in a bathrobe, and I went, "Oh, that's a little creepy." So
I think it went with the note. I think he's stealing your gig.
yeah, yeah. No, but in reality, it was just time to change it because that was a COVID thing. That
Mhm.
was things just, and things evolve. I it's still the same energy, but
It's refined.
it just became something different.
Yes. It got honed on the hard edge of time.
Yes,
Anyway, with
yes.
that, I'm not going to say anymore. This is getting silly. We're going to go and enjoy your evening and come and see us for the next 9 evenings. And maybe if you don't have to have any grand intentions, you can just show up and maybe you'll.
Yep, yep.
Thank you for being here, Danny. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Nancy. Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.